Welcome to Chefman TV. Viewers may or may not know that I'm a huge Manchester United fan, and I'm just going to make a video about our chances of winning the Premier League title. So obviously, big news, Ronaldo has returned, and I was fortunate enough to go to the game on Saturday, the 4-1 victory against Newcastle. Great atmosphere, great to see Ronaldo back at Old Trafford. Brilliant second goal from Ronaldo, some great goals, and a pretty good team performance against a pretty stubborn Newcastle team who actually were pretty ultra defensive, to be honest, and just played for the draw. So I thought it was a pretty good team performance. Obviously, the Premier League is now, well, you can say it's the most competitive league in the world. You've got four teams there: United, City, Chelsea, and and Liverpool. Sorry, are obviously far and away the four strongest teams with the strongest squads. You can probably say that City are still favourites, reigning champions. They've got an amazing squad. Chelsea have invested heavily. Liverpool have obviously got some injured players back like Van Dijk and should obviously be a lot more dangerous. And United were second last season and have added Varane, Sancho, and Ronaldo. So it's going to be obviously a very competitive season, and it's going to be very hard to actually win the league this season. But I feel like United have got the largest, the biggest chance since Sir Alex left, actually, to win the league. The I feel like the midfield's the only major weakness United have. One thing you can see, depending upon the personnel who actually start in midfield, one thing you can see sometimes um, United struggle to move the ball through the thirds. So it looks like the defenders, Maguire, who's actually really good on the ball, and now Varane, who's also very skilled on the ball, are picking up a lot of short balls, short throwouts and short passes from the goalkeeper. And United are looking to build through the thirds as opposed to playing a direct game. Unfortunately, in order to do that, you need midfielders who are able to manipulate the ball and feed the ball into Bruno, into Pogba, and into that final third. And I feel like it's our major weakness is the lack of ability to move the ball. On Saturday against Newcastle, Matic played, and he's probably the best number six we have on the ball, but he lacks physicality, lacks mobility, he lacks the ability to cover the pitch. And I feel like we were exposed actually against Alan Saint Maximin, who was actually a hugely impressive player who had a lot of space to run into. He reminded me of Traore from Wolves, who's a really mobile player, really dangerous player actually. Um, and so I feel like that number six position or the midfield generally just lacks a deep lying playmaker, someone that can pick up the ball from the defenders and can actually control the tempo of the game, but also can actually, move the ball into the final third, or feed Pogba and feed Bruno. And I think that if we don't win the league, is going to be the major issue. I feel like McTominay's a good player. He's physical. He performs well in big matches. He's improved a lot. I really like McTominay. I feel I feel like Fred. If United hadn't paid like £50 million for him, he would be gone. But I feel like there's a lot of investment into Fred. I feel like he can do something which no other player can do, which is he can cover the pitch. He's very physical, but really he's woeful. He's absolutely woeful on the ball. He gives the ball. He gives the ball away. He lacks tactical awareness. He often gets caught in possession and then the opposition counter attack. He's not particularly good at anything. He's just, I don't know. I think Solskjaer's played a double. He's played the two holding midfielders there quite a lot. So he's played what's now known as the McFred partnership with McTominay and Fred sitting there, and I think he played that to try and cover an unstable defense. So Fred has served a purpose, but in order to be expansive and move the ball, and I mean, I feel like the biggest issue is away from home. I feel like we don't control matches away from home. Like if you look at Chelsea or look at City, they really control the match. So they really control possession. And as a result, they concede less chances. Whereas when you have players like Fred, I mean, we beat Wolverhampton 1-0, and we were so lucky. Fred played in central midfield. It was away from home. We were extremely lucky. Oh, a few wonder saves from De Gea saved us. And that's really the inability to get the ball and to move the ball around the pitch. And that, I mean, the defence is actually excellent now. I think it's on paper one of the best defences in Europe. Maguire and Varane, if they stay clear of injury, is an excellent partnership. Wan-Bissaka has some limitations moving forward, but he's an excellent defender. And Luke Shaw is now arguably the best left back in Europe. He's really a fantastic player. So it's just that midfield. It's just that the ability to move the ball. There's obviously some talk of Van der Beek playing as a number six, but he probably lacks the physicality to cover the ground and to tackle. So yeah, I think Saturday's match against Newcastle was good, but you know we easily could have drawn that match. It wasn't the goals. I mean, it wasn't really a 4-1 scoreline, to be honest with you. There was obviously Ronaldo was clinical. It's just that second goal, especially, was clinical, and then obviously Newcastle's heads dropped. Bruno with an amazing strike, but yeah, we still need to see. I think in around 10, 12 league games, you'll be able to see what sort of the actual Premier League coming together. But I think those four teams are going to be really hard to stop. And obviously, I mean, below them as well, you've got some really, really good teams. You've got teams like Leicester. Like Leicester are a really hard team to play against. They're really a good team. And, Arsenal have spent a lot of money, probably bought quite a lot of young players, probably won't do much. Everton might be an interesting team to watch, quite defensive with Benitez there. But I feel like United really should have really bought a number six in the January window, and should have really, bought. I mean, possibly there isn't players available, so I kind of understand that there's no point just buying someone. I feel like previous managers, especially Van Gaal, we purchased a lot of players who really weren't up to it to kind of fill the squad, and it looks like Solskjaer wants to buy his first choice players. I mean, they've pursued Sancho for best part of 2 years, and he's now at the club, and I think he's going to be a fantastic player long term. So maybe there's nobody available. Maybe some of the prices quoted were astronomical. There's obviously media reports that Declan Rice they've quoted like 100 million, which seems huge money for him. Although he's obviously a good player, and there's not that many players in the world. I mean, De Jong's at Barcelona. They probably won't sell him, even though they have financial trouble. Chelsea are stacked in that position. You know, um, so there's not really many deep lying playmakers in world football who could kind of come in. So maybe United will target Declan Rice next year, but I feel like it's a real problem for them. Also, like the squad is huge. The squad is so big that it really needs to we really need to sell probably 4 or 5 players. You've got kind of players there on like huge money, like Jones or like Lingard. obviously scored on Saturday. He's a good player, but he's not really going to get a look in probably unless there's loads of injuries. So really should have tried to trim the squad, but I think it's easier said than done. I think there's a lot of issues with the level of wages. I mean, I believe that um, one of the reasons Dan James was able to be sold was because he was on relatively low wages, whereas historically you've got people like Marcus Rojo, I think, were reportedly on like 160 grand a week. So there's probably very few players outside of the top four who are on £160,000 a week. And the players that United are looking to sell, the top four clubs won't be interested in. So invariably, those players need to take a pay cut. So no doubt Phil Jones is on £120,000 a week. Clubs that can afford £120,000 a week aren't interested in him. So it's a bit of a chicken and egg situation. Giving out those huge contracts for non performing players is all well and good, but to actually get rid of them is like really, really hard. And to sort of get your wage bill under control is pretty difficult. So I feel like in January United might sell some players. Got quite a lot of young players out on loan, and I feel the squad can get trimmed. I'm surprised Dallo stayed. Um, I think long term he'll leave the club. I think you have players like Jones who are nowhere near the first team. I mean, even players like Eric Bailly. Where does Eric Bailly fit in there? Because Lindelof's probably in front of him. There's going to have to be some injuries for him to play. And he's obviously on big money. He's not a bad player. He's been injured a lot. They've just given him a new contract. Um, I'm not sure if they're trying to protect the value of the player so they don't leave on free transfers. But it is a double-edged sword because he's probably on like pretty big money, and he'll probably have to take a pay cut to leave if he does leave. Um, you've also got Axel Tuanzebe on loan, who is a good player, but again has been injured a lot and hasn't really kicked on. So you've got a huge bloated squad. You've got Mata, Matic, Lingard, Pereira's out on loan, so United still technically own him. So it's an awful lot of players in a very bloated squad. So maybe this is why they didn't sign a holding midfield player. Who knows? Okay, thanks for watching. Have a good day.